Well, you know us as Joe
and Shane
because we are
the Gold Guys.
Looking to buy your first piece of gold or silver but don't know if you should get a coin, bar, or round? Today I'll walk you through the similarities and differences of each and then the pros and cons of each. What's similar? Generally, the weight and the purity usually is going to be similar between coins, bars, and rounds. You can have similar weight options for the most part, and purity across all of them is usually going to be the same, although there can be some differences depending on where you're buying from. More importantly, what are the differences between coins, bars, and rounds? Coins are government minted. They have a currency denomination on them, so they're made by the government, and they'll usually say like a $1 or £5, something like that on it somewhere. More often than not, they're going to be pure, but with some situations they're not going to be. For example, gold eagles and gold Krugrands, they're not pure gold, even though they're still 1 ounce. They're about 22 karat. Usually, coins have fewer sizes, often ranging from 1/20th of an ounce to 1 ounce is most common, but occasionally you'll see larger sizes, like a 5-ounce coin or maybe even a ½ pound, or I've seen 1 kilo coin, for example. They're not too common, but usually they're going to be around 1 ounce, and coins will have fewer size options overall. And finally, of course, coins are going to be shaped like coins. They're going to be round for the most part. Bars usually are going to be private minted, but every once in a while you'll find a government minted bar, such as a Royal Canadian Mint bar. These will not have any denomination on them. They're going to be square in shape, just like a standard bar might be. More often than not, bars are going to be pure, since it's easier to trust a private company if they offer just pure items as opposed to semi-pure items. It's easier to fake or get away with faking semi-pure items. Hence, with most bars and rounds, you're going to find that they're going to be pure. Also, bars have a much wider option for size ranges, usually. I've seen bars go anywhere from 1/4 of a grain up to 1,000-ounce bars. Truly, the sky's the limit when it comes to bars and how heavy or how big they can be. Finally, we have rounds. Rounds are usually also going to be private minted, but every once in a while you'll find a government minted round, such as the Mexican Gold Libertad proof coin. Even though I say coin, it's technically a round because it doesn't have a denomination on it. So the main differentiator between coins and rounds is that coins have a denomination, rounds do not. Similar to bars, rounds tend to be more pure on average, more often than not, and the sizes also tend to be more similar to coins though, where rounds usually tend to stick around 1 ounce. Every once in a while you'll find some 5 ounces or 10 ounces, but it's not too common. Rounds are kind of somewhere in the middle between coins and bars, where they have many similarities between coins and many similarities between bars. So what are the pros and cons of each? Coins are generally going to be more valuable and more trusted than private mints might be. Because they're made by a government, you're expecting the trust and backing of that government to make sure that they're real and they're exactly what they say they are. So with that, they're also usually going to be higher value when you're selling on the back end. Also, with some coins, you're usually going to have more potential for grading with something like PCGS or NGC to get a lot of extra value beyond just that metal value of it. That said, coins also have some downsides, where, like I said, they're usually more valuable on the back end. They're also usually more expensive on the front end when you're buying, usually having a higher premium than a round or a bar might have. Also, depending on where you're living, there's a higher probability that coins will have sales tax on them when you buy them. As for bars and rounds, these generally share the same pros and cons, so I'm just going to group them together. Bars and rounds typically have a wider selection of both items, weights, sizes, designs, etc. So many options when it comes to bars and rounds, it can be a little overwhelming sometimes. They also tend to be lower premiums overall. That said, you can find some that are more expensive than some coins might be. These might be some more collector's items, but with that wider selection, most of them are usually going to have a lower premium than you might get with some of the higher premium coins. In most cases also, bars and rounds are not going to have sales tax, especially where coins might be taxed. Generally, bars and rounds are going to earn a little bit less on the back end when you're selling them, compared to what a coin might get. Also, bars and rounds tend to be faked a little more often, since it's easier to fake a private mint thing than it might be to fake a government-made thing. So which should you choose? As always, it depends. I'll always recommend that you diversify your portfolio, but you need to do your own research, assess your own risk profile, how much you want to spend, and honestly, what interests you. And if you want to get the best deals on bullion, visit our website, Goldguysbullion.com.